When we talk about the legacy, it is a container understanding the word legacy. So we try to make it understandable and divided it. We divided it in 3 levels. You have the organizational legacy, the substantial legacy, and the material legacy. Sometimes during the presentation they are a bit mixed, but that is obvious when you get approximately 60 centimeters of paper produced on various reports, etc., and then you have to bring it together into one presentation. It's a very nice job, I can assure you. The first thing, what is a legacy, what I call a legacy, is that we identify the need for the coordination and cooperation of e-navigation in the North Sea region. A number of aspects has to be done, the harmonized and standardized implementation and the policy decisions that has to be taken. Service providers attunement in order to get the coherency and the harmonized services, ongoing stakeholders, consultation, dissemination of the progress, and of course an organizational structure with links to other fora who utilize the North Sea. So we built on the organizational structure of ACCSEAS that worked very well. What you see here is how ACCSEAS was organized. Now the project stops, and that means that the blue boxes are going to disappear. But when you take on the left-hand side, you see the duration of the ACCSEAS project, and a legacy it can be on the right-hand side, that the policy thing is going to be inserted or covered by a North Sea Policies Harmonization Group. It's just a name for the time being. We have a North Sea Region Service Providers Group. We have the North Sea E-Navigation User Forum. And the idea was, or the question was, are we going to continue afterwards, either under another project or stand alone with a North Sea conference? Well, when you do it annually, it costs you a lot of money, and you are constantly in conflict with other conferences, etc. You have to take care of that. So the idea is more or less, we probably can do it once in 2 years. And then, for instance, take into account the e-navigation underway conference, which is hosted by the Danish Maritime Authority, so that you're not too close on the calendar with each other. We have an historic successful example getting to a North Sea region e-navigation coordination platform. In 1991 till 2000, during the development and implementation of the GMDSS, we had the so-called North Sea Regional Coordination Group under GMDSS. And the good thing was that also there, policy decision makers and service providers worked very closely together in such a way, so efficient, that we were able to do shared investments, we tuned all the ideas, and the North Sea was the first region worldwide who was ready in time for GMDSS. So that was a good example. Based on that, and now I see it's completely dark. Is that my fault? Okay, sorry. Based on that, the idea is now to establish as a legacy a North Sea Regional e-navigation platform, where you can see on one hand the policy group, and the other hand the service providers group. And when they meet on that platform, they can decide from their own ranks to appoint an organizing committee to organize an e-navigation user forum, the same as we did, as an example here, during the conference. Because we are all convinced, it doesn't matter whether we are calling it ACCSEAS 2 or whatsoever, but the contact and the feedback from the users is essential for a good implementation of e-navigation. So, at the other end, we also gave it a thought, are we going to put it under an umbrella of a well-known, recognized regional convention? For instance, OSPAR. OSPAR is mostly dealing with all kinds of green aspects, especially marine spatial planning issues. And then at the other end, within Europe, you have the North Sea Commission. After giving it a lot of thought, came to the conclusion that e-navigation mainly is focusing and should mainly focus on the interest of shipping in the shipping community. And when you are under an umbrella of, let's say, green-colored people, the experience is that sometimes that the interest of the shipping is a bit pressed into a corner. The North Sea Commission is more political, but the implementation of e-navigation itself should be very practical. So that gave us the idea to have that coordination platform as a standalone for the time being, but on the side we opened the door for the information exchange with those conventions which are important. Oh, I do it again, sorry. So what is needed now to set this up? There is just a preparatory meeting needed, initiated by one or more of the North Sea administrations. And I talked with our Director Maritime Affairs, and that is Brigitte Gijsbers, and she will give it a good thought that probably the Netherlands will take the first step and contact the others. Another thing, what is ready now for this platform and all the groups, the terms of reference are already drafted. And this approach was endorsed a few weeks ago by the ACCSEAS Steering Committee. Let's go to the substantial legacy. And I go through the working packages. And what you see is working package 3 has a legacy that the research and the identification and the studies of the recent and future development and challenges are of tremendous value and can be used, reused, either as a basis or as purely information. Working package 3 also identified the candidate solutions. And that's all written in one of the legacies, that is the ACCSEAS Baseline and Priority Report. Another thing in that is that we developed a geographic information system for the North Sea region. And we categorized an overview of all the aspects which is needed for a GIS from the perspective we are looking at it at the North Sea at this moment. Next to that there is an annex with passage line statistics, which provide us with ideas how traffic is flowing, etc. And we did a risk analysis. Going to working package 4, that is standardization and architecture. And I must say, I'll give the credit to Jan-Hendrik Oldwan. He did a tremendous job on what's now following. The ACCSEAS potential solutions were mapped against the 7-pillar model, I showed you that, but also to the sub-solutions which are now provided in the IMO strategic implementation plan and the tasks which are drafted in that plan, and also to the IMO accepted e-navigation architecture. Beside that, the ACCSEAS potential solutions were brought together, and there was an e-navigation architecture for ship shore services designed in such a way that all these solutions or candidate solutions were also mapped in the direction of the IMO ENOV architecture. And that provides now the answer on the remark of John Leon this morning. Next to that, all the candidate solutions were also mapped against the EU e-maritime program and to the EU motorways of the seas and to the EU Inspire guideline. This was a tremendous job, and I personally want to congratulate Jan Hendrik with this. This is all brought together in the ACCSEAS e-navigation architecture report, but there is more in that working package. In that working package, all kinds of design techniques were used for system engineering, but also setting up the simulation architecture. There is a list of conclusions and recommendations from the navigation architectural perspective towards the North Sea region. There are operational technical architectures for ACCSEAS potential solutions. There is the use of simulators in e-navigation training and demonstration. This is a separate report. And e-navigation training needs analysis. So a lot has been done under that working package, and those are reflected in those two reports over here. Let's go to working package 5, the P&T group, we call it. They did a lot. Well, one of the topics, and it's with everyone very high on the list, the multi-source positioning service. And what did they provide? A prototype multi-source P&T receiver, P&T data processing software, test hardware and software for resilient P&T, the test they did with on purpose blocking GPS, and how does the hardware software react on that. They did a trial on absolute radar positioning. And then the new development, what surprised most of you, not only in this conference but also outside. R-mode using MFD GPS transmissions, starting with a feasibility study, and then a prototype of the MFD GPS R-mode transmitting site. Testbed R-mode for MFD GPS was performed. And in respect to R-mode using AIS transmission, there is that feasibility study report. And here are the fronts. Working package 6 dealt in depth with the 14 candidate e-navigation solutions. We have surface system descriptions, we have test scenarios, test reports, prototypes, hardware, software, test results, and identified future work. Future work means that in respect to the candidate e-navigation solutions, and we heard that more or less as a reflection also from the workshop, we have to continue the development and completion of these solutions. One or two are probably already for implementation, but the others need some more extra attention or some things to solve. Well, let's do it after this project. Let's finalize, then we have to finalize the prioritization for the implementation itself. We made now a first inventory, but at a certain moment we have to make decisions. Then we have to set the organizational and technical conditions for a harmonized implementation. Make sure that everything is available, that a certain solution can be implemented. Is the communication environment ready for it, for instance? The next one is we have to determine and arrange governance and liability issues. A topic which is constantly coming back in e-navigation, and in the most of the international organizations it's still a question mark. Then we have to go to the implementation of the candidate solutions themselves. Then we go to results of working package 7. We have demonstrators, we have simulators, and they provide they prove the usability. We have the hard and software, movies, test scenarios, training scenarios, and manuals. It's quite a lot what happened over there. Future work. When we look at future work, and now I come back to the 3 levels. When we look at the organization, we have to organize that preparatory meeting for the coordination of the North Sea, and then we have to establish that platform. When you look substantial, at the end of this project, there will be a document that is called the legacy plan, including an uplisting of all the future work we identified. But that plan is also the source for the continuing of the ACCSEAS work. It gives guidance in what direction or what is needed to go forward. For the execution of identified actions, because there are a lot of actions in them as well. And it is the source for related follow-up projects. I heard this morning, for instance, someone said, well, we'll call it ACCSEAS 2 or the son of ACCSEAS or whatever. But it can be any project which has some relationship with e-navigation or with the identified solutions. So we can contribute to those new and other projects. And then at the end, when we have all those legacy aspects on a line, then we can make a sustainable future work plan. At this moment, and that was recognized by the steering committee, by the National Project Coordination Group, at this very moment, it's still impossible to make a work plan smart. Everything has to be smart nowadays. So, but that can be done with a time frame and etc. And we can only do that when we talk about it in the future, also after project, and with each other and tune it. On the material side, there is one aspect. We have that GIS. It happened to be a very powerful tool for us, especially when we had to identify where the pinpoints in the North Sea for the future will be and all that kind of stuff. But when the project ends, there is the danger that it's going through the drain and we don't have it anymore for the next work we want to do. So we have to organize the governance on it. And we have to organize the maintenance on that. And there are ideas within the ACCSEAS group how to do it. But we also know that we have to solve a number of legal constraints. And that has to do with the delivery, for instance, of AIS. In some countries around the North Sea, the delivery of AIS for this kind of purposes is restricted by privacy law. So we have to, when we want to use this further on in the future, then the countries around the North Sea have to find a mechanism how we are going to deal with it. And sometimes then we miss something, some information, and well, we try to retrieve it from other sources. But this has to be done. Then the material, we have some material legacy. That is, for instance, well, we have receivers, we have all kinds of software. We have to determine where the ownership lays. There are a number of issues we already discussed, and there is a position on that, and that will be given in a legacy plan. But we also have to arrange future use. For instance, last night, pleasant news is that the Netherlands and Germany already decided, hey, we go on with the R-mode test site at this moment for the time being. We want to know more. And after 2 beers, Alan Grant said, I'll join you. So that's good. So the basis is there for future cooperation and working together. And we can do that on each and every solution if we want. but there should be a will to do it. And of course the resources, they say it's important. Okay, so then we have the ACCSEAS, the legacy plan, including that future work. That will be finalized the next 2 weeks, and then it has to be processed through the steering committee and the project coordination group for the comments and last amendments. And then the intention is, according to the, I checked that with Georgina, it will be placed on the ACCSEAS website, next to all the other reports and products we have. But we have to keep in mind, you can't keep a website alive forever. So the decision has been made with the great support of Trinity House that ACCSEAS will be available until 1 year after the project ends. That means we have to disseminate our findings, our results. That's new. That is a part of Working Package 8. The package I seem to be responsible for. So what we are going to do, we must at least create the awareness that the international organizations involved with e-navigations are aware of the results of our project, that they can get knowledge and all kinds of stuff or findings out of these reports for the work they are doing on e-navigation. The same goes for the EU. The European Commission and then in the institutes of DG Move and DG Mare should be aware of this. EMSA itself should be informed as well, because there is a task for EMSA. Let's say they have to provide on a yearly basis in the future in the incident and accident information for the determination where the hotspots are and what the developments are. Then the North Sea region, the Interreg North Sea region group is involved in this. The North Sea Commission is involved. Then you have the sea coastal areas, also a group within the EU which has to do something with shipping. And of course what I said before, the OSPAR. Then the dissemination of the reports, as said, at least first of all the results of our test beds. Most all the countries in the North Sea region subscribes to important guidelines. One guideline is from IMO on testbed reporting. This is approved in MSC 94. And we have the IALA guideline, also on testbed reporting, and that refers directly to the enavigation.net portal, which is hosted by Danish Maritime Authority, but with and under the flag of IALA. And of course, the information should be made available to all interested organizations, stakeholders, and especially also the industry. In the next phase, what we are going to do is we want more interest and more support from the industry. So that, for instance, new navigation receivers are going to be built, or transmitters are going to be built, or they help us to set up with hard and software the maritime cloud. I just say something, but that is very important that we get involved. I know from a chat with the president of the CIRM, Michael Bergman, who wanted to be here, but he had other obligations abroad, that CIRM is very interested in the results of the ACCSEAS project. Well, let's make use of that. So the dissemination of reports, and I discussed that with Georgina, is the best way to do it is to send a letter of attraction to all those organizations, to the stakeholders here during this conference, etc., at the moment that all the reports are available on the website. and invite you to download them for your own use and purposes. And that ends my presentation. This is more or less in a nutshell, guys, the legacy of ACCSEAS. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pieter.